Welcome to Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush.
Recording in progress. And welcome back to the Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush. If this is your first time tuning in, I am actor Brandon Rush. I've been in 80 TV shows and film productions, and I launched the Buckle Up Podcast with my mother, Mama Rush, who is a pharmaceutical sales specialist. We have done 153 episodes as of today. We are in 83 countries, and we are in 971 cities around the world, and we are on 61 continents. Sorry, did I say that right? No, 61 continents. Wow. Excuse me. We are on 6 continents. Sorry about the little mistake there, because there are 61 continents. That was a moment there. But we are blessed to have this show. We have had people from all different backgrounds on here. We have had doctors, lawyers, CEOs, small business owners, architects like today. We have had military, veterans, nurses. In my movie business that I've been in, I've had directors, producers, writers, studio heads, casting directors, casting associates, casting assistants, and casting producers all on here to share their story with us, to help not only tell their own journey, but to educate the youth with the different careers that there are available to them out there in this world. So our goal is to give back, and this show is one of the ways we do that, by having people share their own story and give knowledge to those coming up that might want to possibly follow in their footsteps. And today we have Gloria Kloter. I hope I spelled that name right. I apologize if I misspelled that or said that incorrectly. But Gloria is an award-winning architect, founder and CEO of Glow Architects. She's a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, and a powerful advocate for immigrant architects, women, and mothers building their own dreams. We're about to welcome Gloria to the show, and I'm about to let her in now. That's actually her beeping through. All right. Welcome to Buckle Up Podcast. And met all. I think I just hit met all. Okay, let's see here. No, I just gotta pull this down. Uh-oh, I really messed up. Gloria! Welcome!
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming to the Buckle Up Podcast Universe with Brandon Rush and
Mama Rush.
Hi, Mama Rush.
Hi, Gloria.
It's so nice to meet you. I was so looking forward that you were going to be in this one because I listened to a couple of the episodes, and the last one you were not present. And I'm like, I hope she makes it for mine.
Well, today I am here, and it's a little cool here in South Carolina, but we are so happy to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. How was your Easter down in Tampa? Is that right?
Yes, I'm in Tampa. It was nice. We have a big family on the side of my husband because all of my family is back in the DR. But he's one of 5 brothers, so we have a lot of nieces and nephews, and we actually host this year the whole Easter home.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to see all the kids together, and we went to church on Sunday morning, so it was just very nice.
Okay, good. Well, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with me. Gloria, let me double check that I'm recording. I don't want anything to go wrong because
it is, because it told me that it was recording when I log in.
Okay, perfect. Nice. I just double checking. Sometimes I have heart attack with that, like I'm OCD with it. But
I have a small podcast on my own, and we've done that like once or twice where we have like almost a whole episode.
Yeah.
And then it's not recorded.
Oh no,
Wow.
it's detrimental. I mean, it's because then you got to talk to the guest. You're like, oh my gosh, like how do we? It hurts the soul a little bit.
And then
Brandon, and Brandon always gets me. I can be in there, and he'll say, "Mom, I'm not sure if it recorded or not. Let me go back and check." I said, "Oh wow, and it has. He's done right every time."
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Gloria, it's all about you today. Also, what's the name of your podcast too, if you want to mention it?
Oh, I'm a co-host for the Immigrant Architects Coalition podcast. We just interview people who we have different stuff, but the part that I'm a co-host of is we interview immigrant architects who have gotten their license recently, like in the last 2 years.
Okay.
Because we have different parts. Like there's he interviews business owners who are immigrant architects and things like that. So like it's just a little bit of everything.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. Okay. And thank you for sharing. I want to make sure our audience heard that. Well, as I said, Gloria, it's all about you today. Do you pronounce your last name? I'll have you pronounce it.
You probably will say it better than me
I
because
said
remember,
Kloter. Yeah.
Kloter. Yeah, I said Kloter. I think I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but but because this is my last name from my husband, so
Yeah.
it's not really Hispanic or something. And a lot of people ask me, and I'm like, you know what? You probably are the one doing it right. But
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go with that then. Okay. Well, Gloria, it's all about you today. Tell us your story about how you got into just from the very beginning, however you want to go, because I gave a brief intro about what you've done and all that, but I want you to tell us from your own words.
So I am originally from the Dominican Republic, hence my accent. And I was born and raised back there. I studied architecture back in the Dominican Republic, and I even had a business back there before I came here. So then I was actually being quite successful by the time I had the business because I had a job and then I got like one big project that was like a great opportunity for me. And I tried to bring that project to the firm that I was working for, and they were like, "No, this is like not for us." Da, da, da. It was the first Steve Madden designer shoes
Oh, wow.
store in the Dominican Republic, and they actually hired me to. They didn't hire me to design the store initially. They just there was a set of plans already done from an architect. He was from Venezuela, and they hired me to just do the renderings, the 3D renderings, and then to build it. Because in the DR, you as a licensed architect, you can do to a certain level. Like if the project is not too big, you can work as what you would call here the general contractor or the GC.
Okay.
So I was hired for that. And then when I did the renders based on the plans, they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is not like what we were thinking it was going to be." And they were like, "Can you give us like a new design?" And we had like 2 weeks to start building. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, how are we going to do this? Because like they were going to be penalized for every day that they were not open when the big opening of the mall was done.
Oh, wow.
So we
Okay.
had like a pretty strict schedule. So I tried to bring the project to the company I was working for, and they were like, "This is not for us. We don't do retail stores, but if you want to do it on your own time." So I took vacations.
Yeah.
didn't sleep for 2 weeks. I got the
Oh, wow.
design done. They approved it, and we started building while getting permits and all that. It was like a fast track is how we call it here.
Okay.
So, long story short, to how I ended up here is I met my now husband Jeremy back in the DR. He was at the time a U.S. Marine, and he was serving in the U.S. Embassy in Haiti, which is right next to the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And he came the very first time he came to visit the Dominican Republic. We met and we started talking. It was all long distance because he was in Haiti, I was in the DR. At some point, we stayed together for like 3 months because I went to Haiti to be with him. And then we just knew we wanted to get married. So we decided to move to the States after getting married because the opportunities were better here and all that. But I came to the United States in 2015.
Okay.
So right after we got married, the problem was that we made all these plans on like, I had a business and I was making really decent money. And I said, because he wanted to get out of the Marines.
Yeah.
So that was the main key point on this whole story is he wanted to transition from being a U.S. Marine to be in real estate. And I said, "Oh, I got you, baby. I have my business. I'm just gonna move the business to the United States, and you do you. And when you're like up and running, then like we figure things out." Well, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Because first of all, my license as an architect wasn't valid here.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And you know how it is, like you need a license here for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Like to do hair, you need a
Yeah, to
license.
breathe.
Yeah, to breathe, you need a license. So I don't think I understood that from here. I thought that the fact that I had my license there and my business was like enough, and it wasn't. So I had to get a job. And then he was like starting on real estate, and he was like, we had no money because we were living out of savings. And I don't know if you have anybody, friends or family that are in real estate, but like the first few months, you don't sell anything because you're like trying to get people to know you. There's so many, the market is oversaturated with like agents everywhere.
Yeah.
And he was having a hard time because most of his connections were overseas. Like he was serving for so long overseas that when he was back in the United States was like his family, and that was it. Like he didn't have much connections. I didn't have connections at all because all of my, siblings, my mom, dad are all back in the DR. So it was like a really hard start, but I got the license done like 4 years later. I worked really hard. You have to go through like a crazy process of like taking you have to report hours of experience under a licensed architect in the States, which I did that. I got the job with a firm that had a licensed architect in it for that. And then you have to the first step of all of them is evaluating your education and all that, and then reporting the hours, and then you take 6 exams that are like nationwide, all in English. They're timed. And can you imagine, like, someone, I knew English when I came to the States. Obviously, like me and my husband doesn't speak any Spanish. The poor thing, I've tried. That soul will not take the Spanish. But he it's like I knew English, but it was like an English to like talk with like you and I, just this normal conversation, not like technical words about construction and systems and structures and all that. So when I was taking the exams, that was like really hard, and it took me forever to get them all passed. But I got the license in 2019.
Hey.
Yes, and it was such a huge accomplishment, and I feel that my career took off since that moment, because I feel that I was able to start focusing on, I need to study and say no to absolutely everything, pretty much, versus like, well, now I have the license, and I struggle so much as an immigrant that was trying to figure this out. And I want to clarify, because I serve several of the organizations that are part of this process now. And I don't want it to sound like the information is not out there for people like me. It was always there. It just, it doesn't translate to us the same way that it will translate to someone who is born and raised here or went to school here. And I'll give you a good example.
Please do.
When I started my process to get license here, I have a license in the Dominican Republic. So the path that I should have taken from the beginning is called Foreign Architect Path. But I didn't apply to it, or was aware that I was qualified to apply to that path, which was shorter and faster and cheaper than the standard path that I was taking. And one of the things with that standard path is that you have to evaluate your education with something they call ESA, EESA. And it's like $3,000 just to get the evaluation to tell you how many deficiencies on credits on education you have. So you have to go back to school and da-da-da. When you have the license, you don't need any of it. But I didn't know. You know why? Because there was a little tab in it's the NCARB, NCARB, it's the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards. And they had a little tab that says registration. And when I read the word registration as a person who has English as a second language, what I understood that meant was that I needed, if I was going to register for a webinar or something like that, like I didn't know what it meant. So I didn't even look really deep into that tab. That tab meant licenses.
Oh, wow.
So if I had a license and I was a registered architect in any state or any country, you will put it there. But because I didn't put it anywhere, because I thought registration was about like an event or something like that. The system wasn't recognizing me as a person who had a license outside of the United States. And I went through the whole ESA, paid for it when I didn't even need it. And I wasted. So now that you feel my pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the reason why I do what I do right now, that I help many immigrant architects get the license for free. Anything that I do is a service of free of charge, because I said, the information was always there,
Yeah.
But things like these where like you don't understand and you're thinking you're understanding the word, but it means something else than what you were taught back in school or whatever. And then you waste time and money and effort, and a lot of people get discouraged. Like so many people I've known in this process that were like, I am just right now having a job in a restaurant because I came with my credentials and all that, and you just couldn't figure it out, and they give up in their career. And I think it's so sad. It's like, you know how expensive and hard it is going through school by anything. It doesn't matter. It's not just architecture. It's whatever you go to school for.
Yeah.
And then like you fall in love or get a job or get an opportunity, and or I don't know, a family member asks for your immigration status to be changed to be like a resident here or whatever, and then you move, and it's like you have to give up on that because like you can't figure out. I just don't agree with it, so I took it upon myself.
Amen. Yeah.
To do something about it. So I've been serving. I am now the licensed architect licensed advisor for NCARB and the state of Florida with AIA Florida. AIA means American Institute of Architects, for those who are not familiar with it. And I serve with them as a licensing advisor for the state of Florida. And I also am part of the board of directors of the people who I have the podcast with, the Immigrant Architects Coalition. They're like a nationwide organization that helps immigrant architects. And I also serve the AIA, the American Institute of Architects, at a national level with their strategic council. And before that, I've served in so many other things. Like I serve as Argentina is an organization that helps architect Latinas to get their license in the States, and just at a local and state level with AI8 and many other stuff. Like I am all over the place in this matter.
Yeah.
So
but this is all
great. Beautiful. Keep going.
It's all great. And I wanted to ask you a question about this. What inspired you first, as far as your journey into architecture? And that's what I want to know first, that what inspired you to go into that field?
So this might be a disappointing.
Okay.
No, tell us.
I didn't know that I wanted to be an architect. I don't think I even had any real influence. I actually have an uncle who passed away several years ago from cancer, who studied architecture in the DR, never finished, and came to live in the States. And I just never had a contact with him. So I'm just clarifying that because some people have found out about it. It's like, oh, maybe he influenced you. And I'm like, no, I didn't even know the guy for real. Like he was always outside of the country by the time I was growing up. So it wasn't that. What really happened was I always felt since I was little that I had an inclination for anything related to art. I used to write poetry since I was little, even songs. And those never saw the light of day, but they are there somewhere. And they were all in Spanish. And I used to love to draw. So I knew that I wanted to do something that was artistic in a way. But the problem is that in the Dominican Republic, there's certain, I don't think that happens in the States as much. And that's changing in the Dominican Republic too. But like we didn't have much opportunities if you wouldn't choose some type of careers. Like you either will be a doctor or a lawyer or an architect or an engineer, or like you will gonna have a really hard time making money. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So I wanted to do all this artistic stuff. I even thought of doing acting at some point. And it's like the industry in the art is now starting to grow, film industry, but like it just there wasn't opportunities. And so in that process, while I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, a neighbor, my friend, she started architecture. She was okay. So there's this part about me that it's a interesting fact.
Okay.
I never did. It was fourth grade of because I went from third, and when I was supposed to move to fourth grade, they didn't give me the exams of third grade. They gave me the exams of fourth because they thought I was advanced for my age.
Yeah.
And I passed them, and then they moved me to fifth grade. So, So because of that, I skipped 1 year, and I was just always really young. I was the baby everywhere, and I finished high school when I was 15 years old, when
Holy smokes.
everyone else was 18.
Yeah.
Everyone else was 18. So I started college at 16,
Mhm.
and everyone else was about 18 to 19. So with that being said, my friend who was my neighbor, she started college before me because I was still in high school. I was in the last year of high school. And she started in architecture, and she will come back home with all this homework from design studio, and she kind of hated it.
Yeah.
She was just like, I don't understand what they're asking me to do, like to make this form based on this word, like that's not logic, like what are they talking about? And I remember feeling so fascinated about it. And I'm like, but you could do this, and like if means like it's welcoming, like maybe you can make it with this form because it's like opening your arms, and it's like, and she's like, what are you talking about? So I got really curious from her frustrations.
Yeah.
She ended up switching careers, and she's a very successful child psychiatrist right
Okay.
now. And I said, I'm going to give it a try to architecture. It sounds kind of like a cool thing that is very artistic, but it has a lot of down to earth stuff. And there's a mix between art and structures and math and all that. And I never looked back. So it was kind of like I stumbled upon by chance because of her.
Yeah.
But I never experienced it before her, or never really overthink it about it. It just like happened that I was like, well, maybe this is something I can try it, and I tried, and here I am.
Wow, you got genius level for sure.
That's excellent. Was there ever a moment where you doubted the journey, and what helped you push through?
Yes, the worst time, 2 times. I have two specific times where I was like, maybe I'm not fit for this. Was when so there's a couple of things that happened with me. First of all, I'm gonna say three parts. One was my mom and dad got divorced when I was 5. And even so, my dad is a surgeon. He's an orthopedic surgeon in the DR. When they just got divorced, since we're kind of a little hard between them, I love my dad. We have a great relationship. But I feel like at the time, both of them were just like really struggling with their relationship. And that really affected how we were growing, because like he cut off a lot of ties with financial help and all that. So we grew up with a lot of financial limitations, for a long time. That got solved at some point. But even when I started doing, I decided I was going to go for architecture, my mom was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Because architecture, the problem with studying architecture is just like you pay for the tuition, right? And you, any other career, you pay for tuition, you pay for books and I don't know, whatever. But then you have to add that we do a lot of models and plans, and it's like an extra cost that is crazy expensive. Like the materials it's ridiculous, like it's stupid expensive. And then you make all this stuff, and then you present it to the teacher, and then they say, yes, good, bad, whatever. And then you have to almost like throw it out because it's not, so it was like a lot of expenses. And I had to work from the very beginning, a full-time job. Actually, I was lucky enough that I got a job in an architectural firm. I stayed with them about 8 years. And my point with that is because I was really having to work full time, I never was on time like my other friends. Like people who started with me were way more advanced in the career, because while they could take 6, 7 classes in a semester, I could only take 3 or 4. So I was always behind on schedule because I had a full-time job. With the one advantage was when I finally finished and graduated, I had so much more experience in real life because of my job. But one of the things I want to say, some of the difficulties, to go back to your question, was when I was about to do the thesis work at the end. It was just too hard because the thesis is like the final work and it's really demanding. A lot of people kind of throw the towel with that for some reason. Like many people that I knew made 4 or 5 years of studying, and then when they got to the thesis part was like, I can't deal with this, and they never graduated. So
Really?
I struggle with that part myself, and I pushed through it because many people around me were like, you can't give up on this. Like, you have to get it done. Like, you need to get the degree no matter what. So that was one part. Then the other part was when I came to the States, the part of getting the exams was really hard because the funny part with the exams itself was the very first exam of the 6 of them that I was supposed to take. The very first one, I studied for about 2 months, went and took it, passed it in the first try. And then I remember getting out of the exams thinking, what the heck was that? Like, the questions were just, a lot of the questions, I felt like I was kind of almost guessing all the time because I didn't feel like, in most of them, I didn't feel like 100% sure of what I was even being asked because the way the questions were written in English were just like kind of like, I mean, they're trying to trick someone who went to school here and have experience here. Just imagine, my brain trying to translate in a rapid pace of what I'm being asked. So my point is, that was like, I always talk about this. I think that was like the worst thing that happened to me was passing that exam in the first try because it gave me the wrong impression that it was easy. That if I was able to pass that with just 2 months of studying and like getting in the exam and like I wasn't sure of like maybe 40% at least of what I was being asked and I still pass it, I'm like, maybe it's not too bad. And then I took the next exam and fail.
Oh, wow.
Went to a third exam and fail. Went back to the second exam and failed again. And I was like 3 exams failing, right? And I'm like, okay, well, something's got to give here because maybe I got it all wrong. Like maybe this is not as easy as I thought. So I had to like get in a boot camp to study. I started surrounding myself with like a huge community of people that were taking the exams and really studying for it. But I just had like there was not one exam after the first one that I didn't fail at least once before I actually passed it. And I think I was so much better and I am much of an expert now on all of the exams that I have to repeat a couple of times than I will ever be of the material that I was tested with the first one. I don't know if that makes sense. So I think it was like a God scene to me that is like you need to really push and get deep into these because one of the main things that I kind of gave up on the dream of even having a business in the States because I was comfortable with that job that I had for to report the hours. I was with them about 4 years. And it's like I needed to really struggle. There was times that I failed exams and I remember they will report the results of it like at 5 a.m. on Thursdays. They now tell you right away when you take the exam. But before you have to wait, like, I don't remember, 2 weeks. And then they will like report it in some system online at like 5 a.m. on Thursdays. And I remember like waking up my husband like, oh, I failed. And he's like, what happened? Did someone die? Because like, I'm like crying and waking him up in the middle of the night. And I remember one time like even praying because I'm a huge believer. I believe in God and Jesus. And I remember praying and saying, God, if you don't want me to be an architect anymore, like I need you to tell me or give me a sign, give me something, because I was feeling so lost. So I think those were the 2 main points where I feel like, am I really good at this?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
beautiful. That's just beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I heard you talk about immigrant architects and how you advocate strongly for them. What gaps, and you start to explain some of the gaps that you are seeing or you saw, and therefore that's why you've taken the steps you have now to create that support system. I wanted you to expand a little bit more on those gaps that you continue to see or some that you've had made happen and change for immigrant architects.
Well, some of the things that I've tried to take action because I feel that it's very easy. There's a lot of people like, and I will include myself, that we can tend to see something that doesn't feel right or needs work or need improvement. And some people might take the route of just going and complain online or something like that. But I've learned that the real way to make a change is actually taking action.
That's
Like you
true.
have to take action, and you have to find a way to find a path where you can have a seat at the table where decisions are being made. So you're part of the decision making versus receiving the decision after it was made and having to deal with that. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does.
So this is why I got involved with some of the organizations I mentioned earlier, because they are the decision makings. They are the one influencing my career here in the States. So I started by advocating for scenes, for example. We read slower. When you have English as second language, as an immigrant, you read slower. It is a fact. Like I remember one time in my previous job, we had a CU class. Someone was coming to give us a small class about some materials and systems. And he had these case studies, little papers that he distributed in the table. And there were about 3-4 immigrants on the left, including me, and about 3-4 people who were Americans, English as first language.
Okay.
And I like this example because it was so graphic on the difference on how long it takes us to even read in English. It's like they gave us the papers at the same time, and we start reading the first page, and all of the Americans on the right flip their first page almost at the same time. It was like flip, and then all of the immigrants, we were still in the first page, and about like a minute or two later, we all flip our page. And I remember that was such like a little moment of like a wake up call of like, see, it's just not me. This happens to every immigrant that has English as second language. So I started advocating for that. I'm not gonna take credit for the change that it happened, but I know that I put a little bit of push towards it, because NCARB did change recently an accommodation for, because they had accommodations, for example, if you were blind or if you have some disabilities, things like that. But there was no accommodations for immigrant architects. And I said, but we read slower. You're testing me to take this exam in 4 hours when it takes me way longer to even interpret the question. I'm not asking you to make the question easier for me. I'm not asking you to change it to whatever. I'm just telling you, I need a little bit more time to read it because I read slower. So you can now apply. They did change it. You can now bring in a dictionary from your language to English, and then you can also apply for an accommodation for English as second language that gives you, I believe, is like about 30 minutes extra.
Okay.
Which to me is like, that's perfect. It's perfect. So again, it didn't happen just because of me, but I was part of the movement of making them aware of this needs to happen. And they changed the one tab of, in every webinar presentation, I do a lot of keynotes, panels around the country and conference. And I was always saying the one example of, I didn't take the foreign architect path because the one tab says registration instead of licenses, and they changed it.
Yeah.
Now it says licenses. They changed that. And I said, I'm going to take the credit for that.
But that's great. And that EESA you're talking about, the registration that was up at the top of that tab of that page, and you had to change now to licenses instead of registration.
Yes. Well, the EASE evaluation is something they do with like a sister organization called NAB. And what that is about is they evaluate your education. So like you pretty much have to submit all of the description of every class you took, because it's not just the transcript saying like the title of the class and how many credits. They kind of want to understand what you learn of that class. So you submit pretty much a book that says, I study, let's say, Design Studio 1, and then the objective was da 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 da. Like that little syllabus that you get at the beginning of each class. For every single class, that's what they evaluate. So they will then be able to tell you, yes, this is transferable. We are going to give you the credits of that class, or like, no, that's not what we're expecting for you to learn on something like that. So that doesn't apply to us. So yeah, but even that one, it's another thing that I feel that a lot of people now are more aware of. If you have a license outside of the States, you don't need the standard path. Go straight to the foreign architect path
It's
and
great to
save
know.
money and save time.
That's great to know. That's great to know, for especially we have high school students and college students trying to figure out what they're going to do. And you are, and I mean all over the world, just not in the United States. But you're giving some pearls here today, and I just love hearing these pearls out of your mouth to and what you're speaking, because it's really helping our audience of young people.
And it's
who- yeah,
funny. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's
that's
funny
quite right.
because like when Brandon reached out, we connected through Instagram, I believe through the Voice Links community, which is a completely entirely different ball game with voice acting. And by the way, I just heard that episode with Harry. Oh my gosh, I love that guy. And I remember when he told me about being in the podcast, I was feeling so much doubt because I'm like, but I'm an architect. Like, I remember sending him a message like, I'm just starting on voice acting. Like, if you want to wait until I get some of these gigs that I'm kind of booking and whatever done. And do you mind if I read to you what he sent me, Mama
Yeah,
Go
Rush?
ahead.
go right ahead.
Because I might get a little emotional while I
Okay,
read
that's
it.
quite all right. Let us hear.
So I took a screenshot of it because I wanted to read that to you, Mama Rush, just
Okay,
because this is your son we're talking about. But
okay.
I sent him this message. I said, I'm just afraid of, this is the last part of the message because I sent him a bunch of stuff. But the last part of the message said, I'm just afraid of not being what you're looking for the podcast because I'm still fresh on the voice acting side of things. And he said, hear me and hear me well. And I want you to take this.
Go ahead. Oh,
I want you to take this through life. First off, never sell yourself short. And
mm,
you're not boring. And
uh-huh.
first off, you are an award winning architect, a best selling author, and the single handedly greatest mom in your children's eyes.
Oh,
With that being said, we will see you when you're ready. Voice acting isn't your story, it's about your journey. And I didn't ask you just because of voice acting. But
oh,
I told him I got emotional that day and I'm getting emotional now because
oh,
I feel that
that is such a beautiful thing.
what a great scene to say. I think because I told him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got teary-eyed about it. And he said, well, God sent me to tell you that. And
Yeah.
I realized right there, I'm like, this is a place I want to be. I want to have this
Oh,
conversation with him and his mom, no matter what.
oh, you are so sweet.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
Oh
that.
yeah, you got me teared up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about your book, architecture. I
The
think
Architecture of
architecture of
Motherhood, right?
motherhood. And what made you say that, and need to write this? Okay, what made you make I guess create that topic for your book, and you needed to write this. So tell us a
And
little
thank you
bit
for
about
sharing
the
that
book.
story too. That was
Yeah,
really
I want
sweet
to
of
hear
you.
that story, and thank you for sharing that. I wanted to move from the tears, because we always have these tears that Lord gives us, and it touches our hearts so much. How fabulous He is, and how fabulous He puts us in touch with so many beautiful spirits in this earth. And so
That is
we're
right.
glad for you sharing that with Brandon and with me. So with us. So I appreciate that. So I want to talk about your little book a bit. Architecture of Motherhood.
So that was my first book. I am the sole author of that one. I wrote it. I started writing it actually in about 2020, and it was
Mm-hmm.
published in 2022. And I did it because I had my baby right in the middle of the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
situation. And I had to quit my job right when my maternity leave was over, because
Mm-hmm.
they wanted me to go back full time to the office in person. And my problem, I didn't have a problem with it on its own, but it was because of the pandemic. We were not able to get my first daughter, I have 3 kids now,
Mm-hmm.
into a daycare because everything was closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to negotiate with them to go back kind of like half time or like fully remotely for a while until like we will figure out things out with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they really, I was the only licensed architect besides my direct boss in the office of the Tampa office. So they really needed me to be in person because he was going to start traveling too and all this other stuff. And my husband said, you know, you wanted to have your business when you and I got married. That was the original plan. And then the
Mm-hmm.
licensing happened. And then I was very comfortable with the job. It had good pay, it had good benefits, good insurance. But he was like, but now we have a daughter, like, and he was stable already. He has several businesses going on. So
Mm-hmm.
he's like, do you want to try it? And I remember thinking, I went to a conference in 2019 where the keynote speaker was saying something about when you are in front of like a big life decision and you're like afraid of taking that step because it might feel like really scary. She said, I tend to ask myself, what is the worst that can happen? And like be really honest with the answer of like, imagine the scenario of what will be the worst thing that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking myself, like, what is the worst thing that can happen if I open the business and it doesn't work? And I said, I probably will have to go back and get a job
Yeah.
because if it doesn't work, we're gonna struggle financially, and I'm gonna have to just go back, and it's gonna be humiliating. But I said, but you know what? I had a business and then I came to the States and it didn't work as I planned. And I had to get a job and it ended up not being that bad. I mean, I was with them for 4 years and I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to a job, is it really that bad? It's not. So let
Yeah.
me try this and see how it goes. And I opened my business in 2020
Mm-hmm.
and I still have it. It's Glow Architects. And we
Glow
do
Architects.
Glow Architects, like, oh, because my nickname when I was younger was Glow. So it's like glow,
Oh.
like glowing.
Yeah.
So that's it's like a funny word for me, but glow because I feel that I enlighten the my clients in the process. I do a lot of 3D renderings for them from the beginning. But my point to answer your question is how I ended up writing the book was because I started a business in 2020. I just had a baby.
Oh.
She was born in June and I opened the business right after I quit my job.
Oh.
And I'm between trying to understand how to be a new mom, how to start a business in the United States as an immigrant. I had the business in the Dominican Republic. That doesn't mean I knew how to handle a business here or
Yeah.
how to, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of laws and rules and insurance and liability that you have. And I felt that I didn't want to stop being a leader as someone who will be helping others and mentoring others. Is like,
Mhm.
there were 3 things that were important for me that I needed to find a balance to it. So I started taking a lot of notes on what that meant, how I started understanding that it wasn't, I didn't, I delayed having kids for a long time because of the exams. Because I got married and I was ready. We were ready to have kids right away, but then getting the license happened. And that
Mm-hmm.
was priority. Like I was like, I need to hold, I don't want to be studying for an exam with a big belly and be more concerned of one or the other. Like it's just not fair. So
Mm-hmm.
I delayed having kids. And then I got the license and it's like, we're ready. We have the kid. And it's like, well, now I have to figure out the business. Now I have to figure out all of this other stuff. And I started just making notes and making notes. And with that, and asking a lot of questions to people around me, I realized how much of a need of the book was in the community of architecture. Why?
Okay.
Because a lot of the women I've been mentoring on how to get their license now said, well, my problem is right now that I was working and whatever, and then I have kids. And then I got out of altogether. I had to get out of the industry for like 5-6 years, and now I'm trying to get back. So I might as well just get the license now. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why do you get out completely? It's like because I needed to be a mom, and we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have enough resources to like have a nanny. And architecture is so demanding. Like you get a lot of all-nighters when you have deadlines, and you have to submit those plans next date and all this other stuff. And it's like a common scene of like people working over hours and all that. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I want to have balance. I want to have time for my kids and for myself and for the people I'm serving and doing fun stuff. And now I'm doing voice acting and like, how do you find balance? So it was all about finding balance. So if you ever read the book, it's very Christian based. It talks about some of the challenges that I had and how talk was guiding me through the whole journey. But also I shared something that I call glow, because it was my publisher said you have to sell a little bit of your business with it. So we made it a whole glow acronym on scene, which it talks about the G is about grow your support system. You're not supposed to be a mom or a business owner or whatever it is you're doing in life by yourself. We were not meant to be a solo individual for most of it. God made us a system of people to complement with each other, right?
That is
And,
so.
and I feel that architecture and many other careers are so entwined and interrelated with motherhood and parenthood in general. Like the way you have to lead, the way you have to delegate, the way you have to depend on others to make this right. So I talk about that. I talk about leading through self-awareness, like understanding what you're good at, what are you not good at, and can you find someone to do that for you? Can you pay for those, or can you delegate it to like maybe your couple or a family member, your mom? Like, what is it that you need to do to make this work? I talk about organizing chaos, because that is the O. Because I started saying yes to too many things at one time. And then I got overwhelmed and I got burnt out and I was all over the place. And then we were trying to have a second baby and then a third. And when we were trying to have the second with Nova, my first daughter, and my only daughter, because I have two boys after her, it was so easy. We went for vacations and said, okay, we're going to start trying. And we were in London the day we were about to take a flight back to Tampa. And I remember I went to brush my teeth and I felt nausea. And I remember looking at my husband. He was still sleeping in the bed. And I said, there's no freaking way that I'm already pregnant. And I was pregnant. Next day, I took the pregnancy test and I was pregnant. But with my second, we tried for so long. And I wouldn't get pregnant, and then I got pregnant. I had a early miscarriage one time, and then got pregnant again, another early miscarriage. And I was like, what is going on? What is wrong with me and my body? What am I doing wrong? And all this stuff that you start labeling yourself. And then I realized that nothing makes sense. My doctor said, I think you're just really stressed out. The stress can do so much to you. You need to organize this chaos that you're having. Like you need to slow down and focus on yourself and go from there. And that's what I did. And then boom, I got pregnant with my second. And so and I think the last one is W, and it's Win by Grace. And I talk about faith, and I talk a lot about giving yourself grace, like your body changes, you don't look the same, you're kind of going through that process of like, sometimes like comparison is your worst enemy, because you start seeing where others are, where you want to be, and all that kind of stuff. And I think I started being more gentle to myself of like, I know I want to be there, but I am here, and I need to look back and tell to myself, well, I was there like 2 years ago, and now I'm here. I thought maybe I was going to be there, like way ahead of whatever, but I'm still way further than where I was like a year ago. So, and that still counts. So like you have to give yourself grace on this matter. So that's what inspired me to write the book. Just to clarify, it's not my only book. I'm actually a co-author of 4 other books. One is about to come out. I'm co-author of, my second one was City Shapers. It's with the Immigrant Architects Coalition. That's how I started connecting with them, actually. And I ended up being part of their board of directors and co-host on their podcast and all that. That is a compilation of stories of immigrant architects. It's a great book for immigrant architects who are trying to get inspired on their own journey. Then we had a third book that is called Prospering in the U.S. It's a guide for immigrant architects. And it's a very comprehensive book that has every chapter is about some of the things and steps that you have to take to prosper in the U.S. as an immigrant architect. So it has how to get involved with organizations, how to get the exams done, what do you do after you get the exams? Do you want to start a business? This is the route. If you want to grow in the company that you're already working and escalate and kind of break that ceiling glass that most of us will encounter, these are some steps you can take. So it's a really great guide. That was the third one. Then the fourth one just came out the other day. I think you, Brandon, and I, you talked when I went to New York for that open. So that is with Architina. I mentioned that organization before. I'm mentor. I am a mentor with them, and now a co-author. This book is called Latinas in Architecture, and it's a compilation of stories of Latinas architects, and it just launched the other day. And then we have City Shapers 2, Volume 2, that is coming on April 16. For those who, I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna be out on time, but it's
I'll have it done today. I'll have it done today. So say it one more time. So City Shapers 2 is coming out April 16th. Is that
City Shapers Volume 2 is coming out April 16.
You heard it here first on the Buckle Up podcast.
Yes. We haven't even announced it anywhere. So yes, it's a good promotion. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to say real quick, first off, I am so glad that God brought you to us here today because you have been absolutely outstanding.
Yes, you
outstanding. Like when we have guests on here, I love all of our guests, but sometimes like I can just listen and hear you talk all day because you dropped so many different dimes. And I'm thinking about all the people that in the 83 countries we're in now, that in the 71 cities, that how many of those people's lives who are of Latino or even foreign of a different country that are going to be able to hear this episode and want to become architects, or even if it's a different avenue, you've given them an inspiring story about how you can go about doing that. Like I thought about what you said earlier about the tab. That's been sticking with me. The fact that you clicked on that tab, you didn't know about that tab, you misread it. But would that have still taken you on this journey of you helping all these people had that not happened? So what might have seemed like it was a setback at the time ended up blessing so many more people. God made it so that you didn't understand that button and went this route, because I think look at the lives you probably impacted for the better by going through that.
Oh, I get in goosebumps as you're talking, because like I'm telling you, I've gone through conferences sometimes and people will like stop me and say, oh my gosh, I read your book, can you sign it? Or like so many people have reached out through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, any of my social media, saying, I just watched a webinar that was recorded like 3 years ago with NCARB, and you're talking about what happened, and I just wanted to say I was giving up, and then I listened to your story, and it's like, I want to do this. Like, what, like you just don't know how many other people will relate to your story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sorry, I just had to say one more thing, Mom. And this is what I was going back to saying with it's not about the voiceover thing, it's about your journey. And the fact that even if, because what you go through is so inspiring, people don't always realize what people go through in their own personal journey. And that it doesn't matter if you don't feel like your story is big enough, you're special to your kids. I know to my nephew, I'm the greatest thing in the world. So it doesn't matter to me how anyone sees or views me out. As long as I'm as special to my nephew as he thinks, even without the acting stuff, he loves me for who I am. And I'm special in his eyes. So I'm famous in his world all day. I don't need society to give me the credit that I know that God has given me.
At the end of the day, nothing else really matters.
Absolutely. But you have made a difference. It's not that with the talents and all the adversity you've overcome, God's made you this powerful person who's able to bless so many lives and continues to bless so many lives. That's just a little 2 piece I had to add there.
Brandon, I love that. So,
different kind of preacher.
Yeah. And I love that you're here because I'm your mother, and it means so much to me to have sons and a grandson. And it really, I get so excited about that part. That's a part of me. And if I stand out, if they stand out, in my life, that's all that matters there, because I knew God intended it to be so. But with motherhood, what has that taught you that business never could?
Oh, first of all, the structure. I feel that I got away with things with my business that I just can't get away with my children. I'll tell you one example. If I will leave something to like too close to the deadline, I will pull up an all-nighter and just figure it out and just work under pressure and get it done, the night before. With my kids, it's like I can either go to sleep on time around 10 or so, or I can, I don't know, scroll in social media or watch a movie and go to sleep at 12 or 1. It doesn't matter what I do, they are going to wake up the next day at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that is my deadline. So like there's things that I feel that I could get away with the business on, like, oh, I can do this and do that. But like with motherhood is like you have to really get organized, or like you're gonna be all over the place. Because one of the main things that I learned with my kids from the first one was I need to be able to get up before them, or I'm gonna feel the whole day that I'm already behind. So
Oh,
I try to be very, very careful with the time I'm going to sleep, the time I get up, so I can have some time for me, do my hair, do makeup if I have to do it, whatever it is that makes me feel like myself, and then move on. You just mentioned, no, you just didn't. I just listened yesterday to one of the episodes where Brandon was talking to one of the guests that I don't remember which one was it, but something about that you mentioned of like, how they tell you in the airplane that you have to put the mask first on you.
Yeah, put the oxygen mask on your
And then
put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
yeah, so he was just talking about it. I think it was at the last episode, maybe because I maybe she was you were not in the interview, but it's true. It's so true. Like you have to get up in the morning, and as you are still yourself, you become a mother first. In my case, an architect second, but I'm still Gloria. Like I still have my needs, I still have my ambitions and the things that I want to do for myself. So one thing that motherhood taught me, I feel is you have to find ways to dedicate time for yourself, for the things you still want, things that are important to you. Because if not, I feel that you just feel like unbalanced. That's
Absolutely. Calling Gloria.
yeah.
Gloria, I just had to say a couple things here. One, you remind me a lot of my mother, and that's high
That is
honor
a
for me to
big,
say
big
that.
compliment.
Yeah, because I heard there's a thing that you just said there where you would stay up late or work all night getting the job done. My mom, at the age of 15, when I was playing football in high school, I would go to sleep at nighttime. My mom would be studying her pharmaceutical sales test, and by the time I got up the next day, literally she would still be up studying all night. She still does that to this day with everything. She has that work ethic, but I saw how hard my mom worked to provide for her family, which is a reason I always say kids are always watching what you do. And that has pushed me to levels of where if I'm ready, if I've had moments of, I mean, it really haven't been in a long time, but if I were going to doubt myself on something that I just saw how hard my mom, I don't quit. So I haven't had that since 15 either, but I saw what my mom did. So I was able to I pushed myself in things like the gym, or I put myself through hell even because I saw how hard my mom worked. And if she provided for me, I try to best to help out where I can. So I was inspired by her. So I'm saying what you're doing and what you've done, it sounds a lot like what my mom has done in her lifetime. So I know your kids will appreciate it now, and especially later when they see how hard you've worked, struggled, and how many people you've helped out along your journey.
Thank you.
Brand.
And I think that comes from, I saw that in my mom too. So
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you're saying. Like you really watch what your parents are doing from early age, even if they don't realize that how much they're influencing you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the oxygen mask, I quote my parents all the time. That oxygen mask is from my mom. She's always says that was her quote. I just happen to say it. I say quotes from my parents all the time, but put the oxygen mask on yourself first before helping others. I got that from my mom. And then my dad used to always say, the only thing that separates us is God's good grace. And that's the only thing that separates a person from being healthy, not healthy, being rich, not rich. So those are two quotes I always quote from mine. And then we're all human. Everybody makes mistakes. That's
Amen. Yeah. Yeah.
And see, and I always, I love that, Brandon. And rich, you could be rich. Money does not make one rich. It might satisfy need. It's the character of an individual, a human being, that makes you rich in this life, because you're changing mankind, you're helping mankind, you're putting something in mankind to move forward. So I always, and this is biblical, Bible, that money does not, rich is not in the sense of money in sorts. It's rich how you treat others and do in this life.
Amen to that.
So that's rich. And so when you say some people can be rich and not rich, I think you're right, Brandon, on that statement compared to not monetary, but the real human character of a person. Okay. Amen. All right. So, Brandon, you ready for the?
Yeah, Gloria, we're about to bring it home here. I promise. Okay.
No, I am having a blast here.
Yeah,
like, we can talk all day.
Yeah, we are too. I'm gonna have to split this into 2 episodes, or I might have to get you back for a second episode. We definitely will. If you could sit down with your younger self, what would you tell? What would you tell her?
With my younger self, I probably will tell myself, just start having those kids.
Okay.
Don't think about it too much. I think one of the biggest fears that I had was how it was going to impact my career, how hard it was going to be getting the exams done and all that. But I think the main thing that I learned, especially when I wrote the book, was I'm not supposed to do it by myself anyways. And I think that I had a lot of pressure on, like, this is going to be just me. And it's a funny thought, because in my case, I am married, happily married. My husband is a great support, part of my support system. And I think maybe I had that fear because I was raised just with my mom. Yeah. And like, there was this thing in the back of my head thinking, oh, when I start having kids, it's just going to be me with, and I think if I could go back to when I was 18, I would say, hey, as soon as you find that military guy that you're going to meet a couple of years after, just start having kids, because they are a blessing and you're not going to be alone,
Okay. I like that a lot. What legacy do you want to leave, not just as an architecture, but in people's lives?
Oh my gosh. I want people to just reach their goals and their dreams as much as possible. So this is something we haven't touched too deep in this conversation, but like the whole voice acting part, for example, you will think of, I am quite accomplished already with the architecture side and as a business owner, and I'm doing all this speaking and the authoring and all that. And it's like, where does voice acting even comes in this equation? Like, I'm already busy enough. Like, why am I even doing this? And I can't give you an explanation. Is, I have done so many stuff that I already wanted to do, right? Like, I reached those goals. And it feels that one thing that has been different for me with the architectural side of things is, like, right now I'm doing a lot of churches, just so you know. I'm being called the church lady here in Tampa because I got one church and then the next and then the next and then the next. But like, my point is, there's a lot of restrictions with building codes and zoning codes and the way you can design in the States certain type of projects. So I felt like limited in a way between the budget that most of churches struggle a lot with financials, because sometimes they depend on certain members of the community donating, or certain loans they can have. And even the loans the structure is not like if you go like as a commercial loan, it's very different. The whole structure is different. So like, I feel that I've been feeling stuck creatively. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I'm doing so much. I make really good money. Financially we're okay. But like, the creative part is like, it's a little bit like toned down because of how the rules are in the States, which I didn't have in the Dominican Republic. Like, I was able to do like really crazy cool designs without all the restrictions that you may find here in certain zonings in certain areas, especially if you're like in historic districts and all that, you can't do anything. So voice acting came into a place where I was back to writing poetry. I started writing poetry and I started drawing. I don't know if you've seen some of my drawings online.
Yes, I love that. I posted it, but it wouldn't let me go. I posted your pencil one, and I put the Gloria song behind it. I'm dead serious, but it wouldn't let me, for some reason, it would not allow it. It was on my story, but it wouldn't allow it. It wouldn't show out to anybody.
And so I started doing the character development because of this one show, and they asked me for help. But all of my drawings are actually just graphite pencil, so not even color or anything. It was graphite pencil,
Okay.
and I will pair those with poetry. And it was usually about either something that went through, like there was a mass tragedy that happened in the Dominican Republic. I wrote about that. Or like, let's say I would write a poetry about you. It wouldn't be like me writing a poetry for Brandon. It will be like, you will talk to me and say, oh my gosh, Gloria, I went through this and this and that and this and like acting, this means so much. And this struggle that I experienced, and I will take all of those little pieces and make a whole poet. I can send you some examples later, but
Please do.
Well, we need to have her on the show to do that, Brandon, because this is at another time. Because what you're saying, finish up that about the.
Sorry, Gloria. Yeah, you're good.
But what I was trying to say is, like, I started doing that, and then one person one time told me, oh, can I, because I had a separate account and it became too much. So that account is done, and I'm slowly sharing the work I did on that one in my main account now.
Okay.
But just to give you a little bit of background, how I ended up with voice acting is, I invited, like, someone reached out and said, can I narrate one of your poems? Which was never an idea. It was always just the drawing with the poem, and I will put background music on it, and that was it. That was what it was about. So this person was a voice actor, and he said, can I narrate your poem, one of your poems? I said, well, let me just write one for you based on something of your work, and then we collaborate, and it became a scene. So then there was one person that I wrote a poem about something with their work, and then they were going to read it, and then they couldn't do it. And someone else said, why don't you narrate it? I mean, it's your work. And I'm like, I always thought of my voice being ugly. I'm going to tell you this. All of my life, I grew up thinking my voice is ugly because I have this image of what a beautiful voice is, and it just doesn't sound like mine. But I still did it. I narrated the one poem, and I started like putting myself out there. And then slowly people start saying, oh my gosh, I love your voice, and it's so soothing. And can you just do audiobooks? Because I will listen to your voice like for hours. And I'm like, this is so strange because I just, like, it was really shocking. Like, I feel that still now some people will come. There's a market for everybody. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And I just didn't think it was real until like several people start telling me, oh my gosh, I love your voice. Can you like do more of that? Do more poetry. So, because I love to hear it. So I slowly started trying to understand what can I do to do better with the voice part. And that's how I ended up surrounding myself by a lot of voice actors, ended up with voice links. And now I have a couple of gigs going on. I have 3 books that I'm going to narrate. I have those under contract now. And then I have a one character that is with the Pencil Man show, and I'm helping with their art characters. And I even help with, because I'm really good at writing too. So I help with the episode 1 script. And it's like, since that has nothing to do with architecture, but I'm like loving it because it's like so artistic and like just really creative, and I need that. Like, my brain works like that.
Well, you're good at it, and obviously you're able to. I mean, God's really blessed you with a lot here, but you're able to activate that now with the voice. Your other. Well, you said originally you had that in you, so it's always been a calling. I'm honestly, when you get your Emmy one day or your Oscar, just please remember us.
I wish. Oh my gosh.
I believe it could happen. I definitely believe it could happen.
I believe it and receive it. How about
Absolutely.
that?
All right. Well, I'm going to hit you with the lightning round, Gloria. But I will say we will have you back for another episode because there's a lot that we want to. There's a lot more just going to come in, questions and all. But this is the lightning round. Morning or night person?
I used to be a morning person, but I am a night person. I can get so much more done in the quiet of the night when everyone is down, and I just get focused.
Coffee or tea?
Oh my gosh. I will say both. Okay, I love coffee, so probably that's the right answer. But I do a lot of tea because it's healthier. So when I'm trying to eat healthy and be very clean and all that. I do a lot of tea. But I love coffee. I love the flavor of it. It's like
Yeah.
I grew up in a culture where like you drink coffee in the morning and after lunch and all that. So it's just like a cultural thing too.
Okay.
But yeah, I do both.
All right. One word that describes your journey.
Oh, resiliency. I think that's a good word.
Okay.
Definitely resiliency.
Love it. Biggest inspiration right now.
Biggest inspiration. Does that mean like a person or?
It could
Something.
still be anything.
Yeah, it could
And
be really anything.
I think one of the things that has been really inspiring lately is some of the communities I'm part of, like really listening to people's journeys. I feel that sometimes you get a lot of imposter syndrome going on. You feel like you're not good enough, you're too behind, or maybe you're not a good fit for this or that. And I feel that seeing and witnessing some of the struggles that other people accomplishments too, it's not just the struggles part, but like even when someone that looks like me or talks like me or has similar traits, like not necessarily physically or culturally or ethnicity, but like maybe another mom. She could be blonde and blue eyes. I'm not talking about the physical traits. I'm talking about a mom that has a business could be
Yeah.
inspiring. Like, so like people like that I feel that I can feel related to has been super inspiring. Like there was one person, even with the book, I actually mean saying that when Mama Roche asked me what inspired me to write a book was I went to a conference in 2019 where there was a lady who was pregnant, had a baby, and she was so pregnant. And she was talking about how we can have everything. And she was talking, you can be an architect and you can be a leader and you can be a mom and you can do a good job on all of them if if you figure things out. And that alone, it was like seeing that woman is like, I want to be her. I want to be a mom and I want to have a business and I want to be doing all this other stuff. And like, so I think like seeing other people, especially their success, it motivates me of like, oh my gosh, maybe I can do this. So I think that the community and what everyone is going through, and I feel like the honesty and people being transparent about their process and their journeys is
Uh-huh.
super inspiring to me.
Absolutely. I love that. A book every woman should read.
The Architecture of Motherhood. No, okay.
Hey, no, hey, I like it. Boom.
No,
It works.
I know. I'll give you a better one. Before I met my husband, I had several relationships that were they were just not good for me. I feel that I was looking for in couple since that were not what it was right for me, and I didn't understand why I kept going back to certain circles of just something that just wasn't the right scene for me, right? And there was a book that I found complete by I wouldn't say coincidence. I will say that Godcidence is how some people say it. I
Okay.
feel that God put that book somewhere in. I was walking on the streets back in the DR, and it was a used book in some fair scene happening. And the book is called in Spanish "Las mujeres que aman demasiado," which in English, and it's the exact same translation: "Women who love too much." Women who love too much. Can't remember the author. I can maybe send it to you if you want to put it in the description of the
Okay.
podcast. But what it is about is this psychologist with a bunch of examples of patients that she had, different women with different backgrounds, but all of them had like certain things that were like happening when they were little, like parents going through divorce or abusive parents or parents struggling with addictions and all these other different things, and how they all were going back to this specific type of relationships where they were trying to fix the person. They knew the person wasn't good for them. They were not stable. They had a lot of things to deal with internally, but the woman wanted to fix this person. So I feel that I was doing that. And when I read the book, was like looking at myself in the mirror and saying, oh my gosh, Gloria, this is what you've been doing. This is what you've been doing. I didn't grow up with my dad, and I was always trying to find this person that I will get to love me and accept me and want it and put me first when they
Yeah.
were not. But I was starting with the part of not them putting me first. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
I've never gone through therapy or anything about it, but I think the book really helped me to understand that I needed to find the final product of what I actually wanted in a relationship versus trying to fix it myself. I don't know. So then I met Jeremy, who is a big Christian, very stable, comes from a very stable family. And Mama Ross, you especially are gonna like this part of what I'm about to say. I wasn't Christian when I met Jeremy. He was born and raised in a Christian family, and then we met, and then we started dating. And you can imagine his parents were, I'm pretty sure they're lovely. They love me. I love them. But I'm pretty sure they were a little concerned of me not being Christian when I started dating Jeremy. But I think that God used him and his family to get me to give my life to the Lord, because the very first time I met his mom, like he flew me to the States, and I met his family, and his mom was celebrating, I think it was 34 or 35 years of marriage with the dad. And they have 5 boys, and they were so lovely. And I just kept looking around and saying, this is what I want for myself. This is what I want for my life. And I asked her, she was in the kitchen still today. She says, it's like, I kind of remember, but don't remember, because she was just talking and made such a big impact in me. I said, Sandy, what is the trick? What is the key to a success, to having a marriage for 34, 35 years, and with 5 kids that are all good people and so great, such a great family? And she looked at me and said, well, I don't have an answer, straight up answer of like I don't have like a trick or like a golden nugget of like, this is what you need to do, and this is how you're going to have a successful marriage. But she said, but one thing I can tell you is, if you have Jesus in the center of your life and your marriage, he will take care of the rest. And that was a Friday. I flew on a Saturday back to the DR, and on Sunday I went to church with my mom, who was trying to get me to church forever, and I always said no, and I converted.
Amen.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. Okay. Let's see here. One habit that changed your life?
Drinking water first thing in the morning. You go through like this dehydration. I didn't know that, but when I was studying for the exams, I took a class. Have you heard of this guy, Jim Quick? Jim Quick. He's a big guy about brain and how memorization and how the brain works. And I took an online class with him because I was trying to memorize things for the exams. And one of the things he insists is like, you go through a process of dehydration at night, because you have, most of the time, if you sleep through the night, you don't drink water for hours. So you wake up, and some of us will get up, start getting ready, brush our teeth, take a shower, whatever it is that your routine is. And maybe you drink water like an hour or two later after you wake up, because of how sins are. Or some of us even will drink like coffee first, which there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying it's not water. So I've learned to have water right next to my bed, and I take a full, it's almost 2 glasses, because it's like huge. Because he talks about how your brain needs to hydrate. So this is one thing that I've started doing. I drink water in the morning. So to help me feel like more, I don't know, myself, I guess. But it's really great. It's a great one.
Definitely.
Drink water. Drink your water.
I keep water by the bed, and I drink water. Doing middle of the night or whatever, because I'm a night person. But at any rate, that's a great tip. And look how beautiful your skin is, and just beautiful.
Thank you.
So it's not on here, but I think I know what it is. And I think it says favorite place to reset your mind. If I got that right.
That's right.
Let's go. Can't even see it, but yeah. Favorite place to reset your mind.
Oh, I think this is a hard one to respond in the meaning of like, I think right now, how I reset is just spending time with my kids because I feel like I disconnect from, and I know it might sound like, well, but you're parenting and you're all the time like wired when, when you're with them. So it's different. So if I'm trying to disconnect from work and responsibilities,
Yeah.
when I spend time with my kids when they come back from school and I'm just like spending those like few hours that I have before they go to sleep, that is a way that I reset. With that being said, resetting from parenting, which is also a thing, right?
Yeah.
I do feel that we do scenes, for example, my husband and I love to have like date nights. So we try to get a babysitter that comes, let's say, on Friday night. So when we put the kids down, she stayed at home, and then we go out and have dinner, and we're able to just have conversations and have like a one. We see each other every day, we talk every day, but just the two of us without the
Yeah.
kids, so we like to do that, having dates. I feel that if it's just like by myself, so this is like a third answer for that question.
It's all good.
Yeah, I love going to the gym. I love having time for myself, working on my body and my health. Like I can go out, even if I don't go to the gym, just working out in general, like I can just go out for a walk. I had I have a outdoor walking every morning after the kids. My husband take the kids to school, so
Mhm.
right at that time I take about 20 minutes to go for a walk and come back. So I think that type of things, just connecting with nature, and helps. The last thing I will say is obviously going to church and connecting with God and
Yeah.
praying in the morning, just having a little bit of time to have a small devotional. If I don't have time in the morning, I will do it at night, but just connecting with whatever it is that you believe. In my case, is God, but having some time with that, something bigger than us, I think it's really important. Sorry, I gave you like 1,000 answers.
No,
But
it's all good. Amen. Final question. Legacy in one word. So legacy in one word.
legacy in one word. My kids,
Hey,
my
boom, we'll
children.
take it. Yeah, we'll take it. I think that's 2 words, but we'll take it.
That's wonderful.
We'll take it.
Children, say it. Children.
Yeah, it works for me. Gloria, you have been absolutely outstanding today. I always ask God to send me the right people or send me in a place where I could do the most good. And when I asked you, God, I thank God for having him say, "Hey, ask Gloria," and then the thing that you responded, everything that happened was supposed to happen. And I thank God because you've been an absolute blessing to this podcast today. I mean, I already thought you were going to be great, but you knocked it beyond out of the park.
Thank you.
I couldn't be more thankful for you coming here and sharing your brightness, your spirit, your energy. You're natural and gifted at this. So you definitely gained a fan in me for sure, and a fan from our audience as well. And we'd love to have you back also.
Thank you
And
so much.
of course,
Maybe when I get like a bunch of voice acting stuff, then I can come back and say, "Oh my gosh, look at that! I ended up producing a whole show."
Yeah. You're always welcome here anytime you would like, anytime. And you can definitely do that. But you see, we didn't even need the voiceover thing because your journey in itself was more powerful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And then I'll let Mom close it out here.
Well, Gloria, let me say this to you. I want to thank you, Brandon and I both. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. Your story reminds us that life is not about choosing between roles. It's about building a blueprint that allows you to thrive in all of them. You've known us, you've shown us, and hopefully we've imparted some positive things with you as well. What it means to walk in purpose, to lead with courage and create space for others to rise. To our listeners around the world, remember, your blueprint is already within you. As always, stay ready, stay aware, and always buckle up.
So good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Gloria.
What we do now, Brad?
Yeah, at the end, we give everyone up. Gloria, that was awesome.
You have to say Gloria, Gloria.
Gloria, Gloria, I should have had that queued up.
Next time.
I should have had it queued up. Gloria, thank you so much for coming on here today. I was going to try and pull it up if I could to close it out. I think this is it. It's not playing, but oh, there we go.
Okay. What you have going, Brad?
It's Gloria, Mom.
Gloria. Oh, Gloria. Oh, the music, Gloria. Okay.
All right, Gloria.
All
I'm
right.
going to say it, though. Hold on, say, Mom.
Oh, yeah, I hear it.
All right, Gloria. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
You've been
and
wonderful.
Mama Rush.
You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Oh, she was wonderful.
Yes, Mom, she really was.
And so amazing.
Yes, ma'am. It truly was. I'm glad she was able to do it.
I really enjoyed